Ms. Saucedo, Jonathan Alvarado, and Mr. Prado are here. We will be ready in just 1 minute.
All right.
Multiple envelopes within. And so I did speak with defense counsel and I did go ahead and mark the envelopes contained within State's Exhibit number 78 as State's Exhibit 78A through P, letter of the alphabet. And so I would just seek to introduce those into evidence so that the record is clear.
And you're not going to have any objection?
No, ma'am.
All right, so if you'll just introduce that in front of the jurors, the changing of numbers. All right, Deputy Laura, you can bring the jurors in.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. State.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to introduce a State's Exhibit number 78 with the contents inside State's Exhibit 78 alphabet A through B.
Any objection?
No, Judge, it's right. My understanding is that it's been introduced, but we're changing the number sequence.
Yes.
So we have no objection to changing the number sequence of the exhibit.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, the exhibit was previously entered into evidence, but the numbering has just been changed. So State's Exhibit 78 and the contents are going to be labeled as 78A through P, and that will be admitted into evidence without objection. All right, State, call your witness.
The state calls investigator John Cholak.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so everyone can hear. And if you could state your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name is John Paul Jeffrey Cholak. My last name is spelled Cholak.
All right, State, you may proceed.
Investigator Cholak, how are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the San Antonio Arson Bureau.
Okay, and is that, do you have any certifications specific to arson investigations?
Yes, ma'am. I completed a 150-hour course through the state from TCFD for fire investigation. I completed the fire investigation technician course, and I went through the San Antonio Police Academy in addition to the San Antonio Fire Academy.
Okay, So I want to talk to you a little about that. As an arson investigator, what are your duties, with the unit or bureau?
So we investigate origin and cause for fires. We investigate any incident that may pertain to the arson penal code 28.02. And we also investigate explosions.
Okay. Prior to becoming an arson investigator, did you have prior employment with the San Antonio Fire Department?
Yes, ma'am. I've been employed with the fire department since 2012 as a firefighter, structural firefighter.
Okay. And then in what year did you become a arson investigator?
2022.
Okay. Do you have, or what is your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Science in Geography and Urban Community Planning from Texas State University, high school diploma, associate degree in science from the Dallas County Community College.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you about an investigation that occurred on October 19th of 2023. Do you recall investigating a possible arson on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And would that be under SAP case number 23235521?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recall the location that you were dispatched to conduct that investigation?
Yes, ma'am. That was 6239 Alta Porta.
Okay. And upon arrival, did you meet with anyone on scene?
Yes. Initially, I met with homicide detective Soto.
Okay. And then after that, did you identify any witness or victim that needed to be interviewed?
Yes. While I was on scene speaking with him, he informed me that the victim had finished up an interview downtown and was on her way to the address, and I would be allowed to speak with her and do a subsequent interview.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Could I have parties approach just briefly? We're ready.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. And state you may continue.
So investigator Cholak, did you identify a witness by the name of Monette Ellis that needed to be interviewed by you secondarily?
Yes, ma'am, that's referred to as the victim.
Okay. After conducting an interview with her, did you determine that you needed to conduct an arson investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that?
She described, that Mr. Fredo had poured an idol liquid.
And Your Honor, I'm just gonna object to the hearsay portion.
All right, with regards to hearsay, that objection will be sustained.
Okay. I guess typically without saying or testifying to what she told you.
Mhm.
In what instances would you need to conduct an arson investigation?
If we think that there was violation of the penal code 20.02 arson, meaning somebody had intentionally ignited a fire or attempted to intentionally ignite a fire to damage a habitation inside the city limits.
Okay, and so when we talk about igniting, would you still conduct an investigation even if a structure did not actually catch on fire?
Yes,
Okay, and so what would just an open flame being present spark an investigation?
I would consider a flame being present in ignition or an ignition source.
Okay, even if it doesn't like catch on to an accelerant and like engulf in flame?
Correct.
Okay,
Whether the fire continues to burn or not, if they ignited the fire with the intent to burn a habitation or vehicle inside city limits.
okay. And so with this scene specifically, you decided to conduct an arson investigation due to an open flame being present at some point, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when you made the scene, were you looking for, or can you actually just explain to the jury what an accelerant is?
So an accelerant typically refers to a ignitable liquid, something like gasoline, kerosene, the alcohol, but an easily ignitable liquid that quickly will transform into the vapor form that's easily ignited and will more quickly spread a fire.
Okay, and then regarding the witness that you identified as the victim, did you identify anything on her that needed to be collected as evidence?
It was stated that she had the scent of gasoline on her clothing. Her clothes were collected as evidence.
Okay, and then did you guys, I guess visually, are you able to identify accelerants in some instances?
We don't visually identify it. I wouldn't say that I definitively smell gasoline. We will take samples and send it to the state lab for confirmation.
Okay, but regarding the accelerants, did you identify any accelerants on scene? Or was there some way that you were able to identify where to take samples from?
Yes, I called for the ignitable liquid detection canine Bruno and his handler for assistance, and the dog alerted
Okay,
on scene.
and regarding the canine Bruno, is he trained in detecting different accelerants?
Yes, ma'am, he's trained to detect 14 different accelerants.
Okay, and so in this case, did he alert?
Yes, ma'am, he alerted at the threshold of the door inside the garage to the kitchen area of the house.
All right. Now, as part of your investigation in this case, did you draft a sketch of items of evidence that you identified to be important to your investigation?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So I'm gonna show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit of 111. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the sketch that you generated at the time of your investigation?
Yes, ma'am, that is.
At this time, the state is tendering State's Exhibits 111 to defense and offering the same.
Objections.
All right, State's Exhibit 111 is admitted without objection. Granted.
Okay, investigator, show it. Can you see that up there?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Alright. If you're having any issues, just feel free to turn around and look at the big screen behind you, okay?
Okay, great.
And so if we're looking at this sketch, I'm seeing a red line. Can you describe to the jury what that represents in your sketch?
That red line was the location where the trailer was described to have been by the victim. She described where he started pouring gasoline in the driveway and walked while pouring gasoline into the house, into the structure, up to the door.
Okay, and this green dot right here, what does that represent?
That's the location of the green torch that she stated the defendant attempted to light the gasoline trailer with.
Okay, and when you say trailer, can you just explain to the jury what you mean by that?
So a trailer would be something ignitable or burnable substance, liquid, it could be a solid that goes from one place to another in order to force the fire to that location. So think of almost like a fuse on a bomb kind of deal. It would be, we'll pour it here in a line so that we can ignite in one location and then have it burn all the way and catch something else on fire.
Okay. And then this red indentation, what does that represent?
That's where we found the gas can that you described that was being used.
And then what about this black mark right here?
That would be the location where the defendant had attempted to apply the flame ignited lighter to the gasoline trailer.
Okay. And so when we are discussing, did you actually enter the garage area of the residence?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. And when you observed the garage, was there anything that stood out to you regarding the materials or configurations in the garage?
Yes, the way the fuel load was configured in the garage, it would have absolutely been a substantial structure fire had he been successful in igniting the gasoline trailer. There was a lot of ordinary combustible material, things such as cardboard, paper, there's a lot of plastics, things that would easily ignite quickly with low ignition temperatures. And the way that the materials were set up in the garage, they were spread up with ample area around them, ample oxygen to get around, and with the garage door open, the fire would easily be able to quickly spread, and then it would spread up the wall, most likely, where there's more valuable material, or plastic bins, ordinary combustible material. And since the garage door was open at this time, it would have been what we would call a fuel controlled fire, meaning it was already self-vented. So it won't stuff itself out. It was just limited on how much fuel was available to burn or how quickly the fire department was able to get there to extinguish it.
Okay. And then were there any additional risk factors that were affixed to the home, such as like heaters or something like that?
There's always the risk with utilities, there's natural gas, electricity, even the water utilities can present hazards while performing firefighter duties of trying to extinguish the fire. The tract housing, there's other houses close by, there's a 6-foot privacy fence connected to the other houses. Made of combustible material also, and house fires like that in suburban areas where the houses are so close together, just radiant heat can be enough to ignite the next house over on fire.
Okay. And so regarding the utilities that you were speaking about, if you know, did the fire department have to shut off like the utilities in the area?
The fire department did shut off the gas.
Okay. And now speaking I guess because the homes are, were you able to observe about how close the homes were to each other?
They were several feet apart.
Okay, and did that present a risk given the amount of possible accelerant that was there and the structure?
Had it been a fire, we would consider the other houses exposures, and there would most likely be an effort to keep the fire from spreading by spraying water on those houses while the extinguishment operations were going on.
Now regarding the evidence that you, or that's referenced in your sketch, did you send the gas can to the lab?
We sent a sample of the liquid contained inside the gas can to the state lab for verification.
Okay, can you just explain to the jury how that occurs?
So we take pictures of everything. We use a cotton swab to basically stop up some of the liquid. We place it into a metal paint can. It gets sent to the state lab, and they analyze that liquid to determine exactly what its chemical composition is, and then send back a report telling us what it was that we sent them for testing and verification.
And in this case, what was detected as coming from that can?
It was detected to be gasoline.
And then, as far as the garage door being opened, did that present a bigger issue as to the way that the fire would burn had it ignited?
Like I stated earlier, yes, it would allow for unlimited ventilation for the fire, so it would not be a ventilation limited fire. It would just continue to burn until it ran out of fuel.
We passed my turn.
You may proceed.
Name from Cholak.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. Just a few questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I know there was a lot of talk about, the house is burning down, how easily things could have happened. First of all, there was no gasoline inside the residence part of the house that you discovered, correct?
So there was a gas can inside the garage. I'm not sure if that contained gasoline or not, or what that liquid was. The dog alerted that there was gas in there, and there was the odor similar to gas.
Let me stop you because that wasn't my question. I'm not talking about the garage.
Okay,
Now, I know the garage is there and it's a house that has a garage.
yes, sir.
I'm talking the rest of the house besides the garage. You tested for gasoline inside, like the kitchen area, inside the residential part of the house. Correct?
No, sir. The dog alerted in the garage. There was a scent of gasoline inside the garage. We didn't test inside the house as far as you could smell it from the other side of the door in the kitchen, but we didn't test the kitchen for gasoline.
Okay.
But the door to the kitchen from the garage,
Right,
we didn't.
I guess you found gasoline on the concrete in the garage. You found some evidence of gasoline in the driveway, correct? Didn't you?
So the dog alerted that there was an accelerant in the garage next to the door leading to the kitchen.
Okay, and did he alert to the driveway?
No, the dog did not alert to the driveway.
Now, okay, now you were there a few hours after everything had happened, right?
Correct.
Okay, gasoline does evaporate fairly
Yes, it
quickly,
does.
correct? Okay, so did you tell the jury by the time you got there, you couldn't smell any gasoline anymore, personally,
I did smell gasoline inside the garage area,
but not outside the house?
not outside the house.
Okay. Did you find any evidence that gasoline had been poured inside the residence, not the garage, inside the residential part of the house?
I did not find evidence of gasoline inside the residential portion of the house, other than in the garage, which is attached to the house.
I get it. You understand my question? I'm saying besides the garage. I'm not trying to ask trick
Yeah.
questions.
Well, typically that would be considered a part of the structure, like for taxing purposes.
I understand. I'm not trying to ask trick questions.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? I say, if I'm talking about the residential part where you live in, specifically not the garage.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm asking about?
I believe so, sir.
Okay, because you went back to the garage and I'm just trying to get some clarifying answers. You did not find any gasoline inside the residential part of the house. That was not the garage. Is that true or not true?
I did not find any gasoline inside the kitchen, the living area of the house, only in the garage.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was asking. Now, okay, now you talk about the open flame and you talked about intent. You don't have any personal knowledge or evidence of an open flame beside what somebody told you, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now, like if I had a torch and the item in the picture, it's a small torch, it's kind of like a big lighter is kind of what it is, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so if I take that torch, the flame on that is strong enough to where if I take that torch, light it, and put it onto concrete, it'll leave like a char mark, won't it?
Sometimes, but just like if you had an open flame and you passed your hand through the open flame, if it's brief or quick, it may not leave a scorch, just like it may not burn your hand. So it would have to be there for an extended period of time. Exactly how much time, I don't know. But if it's a quick flash over the concrete, it would not be enough to leave a scorch mark.
Okay, but if it was somebody trying to put it on the concrete for a few seconds, that's when you would start getting the char marks that come from flames.
Perhaps.
Okay. Now, there was no evidence of any char marks or anything like that.
No, sir.
Okay, now the other question I have is, okay, you talked to the prosecutor several times about intent to burn the house down, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you kind of told the jury there was an intent to burn the house down.
Yes.
I want to ask you what is now kind of a hypothetical question. If somebody was very angry or depressed or mentally ill, just somebody's not in the right state of mind for whatever reason, hypothetically,
Yes, sir.
and they are threatening somebody, say, I'm going to burn this house down,
Yes, sir.
and they pour some gasoline, it is possible that that was said to kind of get to the other person if you're angry at a person without the intent to burn the house down, right? You could make the threats, try to scare somebody without actually intending to burn the house down. Would you agree with that?
If somebody made the comment that they were going to burn the house down and pour gasoline out, I would consider that more than mere preparation in getting ready to burn the house down.
Okay,
I would assume they had the intent to actually burn the house down since they already acted on it. They said it.
okay, hold on. Let me stop you there because again, you're saying something that's a little different than what I'm asking. You just told this jury you would assume that they have an intent to burn the house down. Okay, and that's not really my question. Okay, that's what you would assume. What I'm saying is hypothetically, if I'm mad at you and we're at your house and I poured some gas in the driveway because you're my old best friend and you hurt my feelings, I could say something like that with the intent to just rile you up, instigate you, aggravate you, without actually intending to start a fire. That is absolutely possible, isn't it?
I would interpret your actions
I
as
didn't.
intent.
I mean, is it possible that I'm telling you that's my intent. My intent is I'm trying to scare you or rile you up. I'm not intending to start a fire in your driveway. If that was my actual intent, you can't say no. Your intent would be different than what your actual intent is. It's possible that my intent could be to scare you. Correct or not?
I cannot read minds, sir. It'd be the same as if somebody pointed a gun at me. I would assume their intent is to harm me.
Or okay. You said you can't read minds, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. By definition, if you cannot read minds, if I was trying to scare you and I did something and I had no intention of setting a fire, I could scare you by what I said, right? That could be a threat, right?
I would interpret it as the intent to start a fire.
But I thought you said you can't read minds.
I can't, but looking at those actions, that would be enough to say, okay, I think they have the intent to actually light this fire, to actually do harm.
Okay, so you're saying it's not a possibility. There is no scenario in the world where somebody could pour gasoline on a driveway and say, you know what, I should just burn this house down and not have the actual intent to do it.
He may have had the intent to do it and then changed his mind afterwards.
Okay, he
I
might.
don't know.
You don't know. He might not have intended to start the fire to begin with. Is that a possibility or not? I don't understand why you're fighting that point. He might not intend to do it. That's possible, right? You don't know.
His actions show that he had intent.
Okay. So, all right, so you're saying there is no conceivable way he could pour gasoline to scare somebody without having the intent. You're saying that is not possible.
I think he intentionally poured the gasoline.
That wasn't my question, sir.
What?
Stop. Are you saying that it's not possible? Because you keep changing it to your interpretation. I'm asking a very specific question on whether, as an arson investigator, which means that you're trained under scientific method, right?
Yep, sure.
You're saying that a person can't pour gasoline with no intent to burn something down, but with the intent to intimidate somebody or threaten somebody or scare somebody. You're saying that's not possible. You're saying it's not possible that a person couldn't do it just to freak somebody out without the intent to actually start the fire.
So again, this would be more than mere preparation if somebody had poured gasoline intending to scare somebody, and even if they didn't intend to actually light the fire, but they were saying that they were going to light the house on fire, then that's again a violation of the penal code.
Okay. All right, the basic information that we get from the science of your testing is that there was no physical evidence of flames being anywhere in the house or the garage, right? It's just, there was an allegation that there was sparking from a torch, from a person's voice. No actual physical evidence of flames or charring or anything ever lit at the house, actually, correct?
All they had was a witness's firsthand account that a flame had been ignited and
Okay.
applied to the trigger.
Now, as the person who's been trained in fire, if I have a big tank of gas, 2-3 gallons, however big it is, and I pour it, and I do have one of those torch, it is very easy to start that gasoline on fire with a big torch if that is your intent, right? I mean, gasoline is very flammable, and the flame from a torch that's bigger than a lighter is more than enough to ignite the gasoline from that can, correct? It's very easy. If the flame gets very close to that gasoline, it is going to get set on fire, correct?
It could be very easy to ignite that gasoline or the fumes of that gasoline. The witness told me that she kicked the torch.
Officer, you've already been told not to talk about what other people said. That wasn't my question. My question was, is it easy to ignite a tank of gasoline with a torch? I didn't ask you about what anybody told you. Is it easy to ignite a tank of gas with a torch?
If the gas is open, it is easy to ignite. Inside a tank, perhaps not. It depends on the availability of the fumes. It's not the liquid that burns, but the fumes that burn.
Okay. And like poured gasoline is very easy to ignite with a torch.
Typically, yes.
All right. Those are all my questions.
Just
State-
briefly, hypothetically, if somebody did, like a using flame, spark a lighter, and it was kicked out of their hand, then it's very possible that in that instant, there would be no char marks. Is that correct?
Correct. In order to char the concrete, the torch would have to be, the flame would have to be in direct contact with the concrete. It had to be close enough to give enough heat to scorch that concrete.
Okay. And regarding the shoes that were sent to the lab that you testified to on direct, was gasoline detected on those shoes?
Yes.
Okay. We pass the witness, Your Honor.
Defense?
1 second. I think there might be one question. All right, can you clarify something in your report?
Sure.
Item E5, that's the swab you took to see if you found an accelerant that was taken from the doorway from the garage into the house.
Correct.
Right? That came back negative for gasoline or any kind of accelerant, right?
Correct. Like you stated before, it took us several hours to get to the scene. A lot of the gasoline had evaporated by that point. And we did swab the door. However, just because the state lab states that they didn't have anything there, doesn't mean that nothing had existed there prior to. And when the state lab gives back their results, if it doesn't meet a particular threshold, meaning there has to be enough of that liquid in there for them to say definitively, yes, this is exactly what it was.
Okay. Mr. Schleck, do you try to be fair to the defense side of the case, or is it just completely?
Judge, I'm gonna
Pro
object, 'cause
prosecution.
it's not a proper question.
Well, no,
Sustained.
I can't ask him if he can be fair to the defendant, Judge.
You can ask your question, but it has to be in the proper format.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. All right, so the question I just asked you was, did you test the doorway with swabs for accelerant, right? And the answer is it came back no accelerant detected on that swab. And then you, after saying like, yes, no, there was no accelerant on it, but could have evaporated, so it could have been there anyway. That's what you just told the jury, right? Right? Something to that effect?
There could have been gasoline there that was not detected in sufficient amounts for the state lab to respond with a positive.
Okay, so like my question was the swab negative for accelerant? And the answer is yes. There was no accelerant on the swab from the doorway. But you add the part where you say, well, it's possible it could have evaporated enough where we wouldn't have shown up within our threshold, right? I didn't
Right.
ask you that, but you kind of throw that in, and it's kind of a point to like suggest, well, it was there and we didn't find it. But there's an absolute other possibility is that gasoline never got poured except on the driveway and in some of the concrete in the garage itself. And there was never any gasoline poured near the doorway or in the house. It's consistent with that too, but you don't suggest that to the jury.
Well, there was also another lab result that came back from a box that was a few inches away from the doorway that came back positive for heavy petroleum distillates.
In the garage, right?
Correct, by the door to the kitchen.
Correct. Right. Now, see, that's evidence that in that spot in the garage, there was some gasoline poured.
Mhm.
But the absence of gasoline in the doorway is actually evidence that the gas didn't get to the doorway or inside the house, right? I mean, that's the most likely possibility. The gasoline stopped on the concrete and some of the stuff in the garage, and it started at the driveway. That's what the testing kind of confirms, right?
No, sir.
Well, you didn't have the gasoline in the driveway, right?
I'm sorry.
You didn't have the gasoline in the driveway, right?
I did not get a positive sample for gasoline in the driveway.
But the dog only alerted in the garage, right?
The dog alerted in the garage next to the door to the kitchen that goes into the kitchen.
Okay. And so you said that the general evidence was that some gasoline had been poured on the concrete in that area, possibly from the driveway into the garage?
I believe there's a video showing as such.
Correct. That's why I'm wondering why you're trying to insinuate gasoline was in the door frame when the test came back that it wasn't.
So we're limited as to what we can accomplish, right? We're limited by the science of this, what we can prove. I can tell you, I could smell a scent and odor similar to that of gasoline very heavily in the area by the kitchen door. You can smell it from inside the house, from when the door is closed to the garage and while you're in the garage in that area. I did not find gasoline inside the house. Fumes can travel into the, house, homes are not completely airtight. I did take a swab of the doorway. If there was not enough ignitable liquid, or if there wasn't ignitable liquid on there, then yes, the state lab will not be able to say for 100% sure positive that there was ignitable liquid here on that test. Like I said, the cardboard box adjacent to the doorway there, we took samples of that. It came back for heavy petroleum distillates.
And I understand. I
Yeah.
didn't ask about any items in the garage. It's kind of acknowledged there was some gasoline poured in the garage.
Mhm.
It's just disputed whether it ever got into the house. And so yeah, I didn't ask about that, but still, you're relating to cardboard boxes in the garage. We've already acknowledged that. It's the point where you're saying negative test results still kind of imply he poured gasoline in the doorway when it's just, there is no evidence he poured gasoline in the doorway or in the house, correct? There is no evidence that suggests he poured it in the doorway or in the house. And by the house, I don't mean the garage. I mean,
Yeah, I would consider the garage a portion of the house since it's all connected and there's.
And I've certainly
Bedrooms above it.
clarified that 5 times that that's not what I'm asking about.
Okay,
There's no evidence he poured it anywhere besides the garage. True or not true?
I would say there's no evidence that he poured it in the living quarters of the home.
That was my question. Thank you. No further questions.
No further questions, Your Honor, and maybe excused by the state.
Yes, excused?
Yes, please, Judge. Thank you.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone or view anything about this case until the conclusion of this case. All right, you may step down. Thank you. Yes.
Today's courtroom didn't explode with shouting, but with precision, patience, and devastating detail. The judge calmly seated the jury as evidence numbers shifted, envelopes opened, and the state prepared its case. Nothing felt dramatic yet, and that quiet is exactly what made everything that followed feel so dangerous inside courtroom. The state called arson investigator John Cholak, a certified expert with years of fire service experience. He described arriving at a suburban home after gasoline had allegedly been poured, tracing a fuel trailer from driveway to garage. The implication was chilling. Ignition would have meant catastrophic fire for everyone involved. Using diagrams, photographs, and canine alerts, the investigator explained accelerants, ventilation, and fuel loads. The garage, he said, was primed to burn fast and hot. An open door meant unlimited oxygen, turning a spark into an uncontrollable structure fire within minutes in a quiet neighborhood nearby, endangering families, homes, instantly. Then the defense struck back. Calm but relentless, counsel challenged assumptions, timing, and science itself. Gasoline evaporates quickly, he argued, and tests inside the living space were negative. No charring, no flames, no proof, just interpretation layered over accusation, presented before an attentive jury weighing every technical word, pause, breath. Under cross-examination, the tension sharpened. Could gasoline be poured merely to scare someone? Could words be threats without intent? The investigator answered carefully, repeating one line that echoed loudly, "I cannot read minds, sir." The courtroom felt suspended on that uncertainty as jurors exchanged glances, pens paused, breathing slowed, collectively. The judge intervened only when necessary, sustaining objections and steering testimony back to facts. Evidence was admitted, limits were enforced. That objection will be sustained became a quiet gavel strike, reminding everyone that speculation alone would not decide this verdict. Today, here, inside this courtroom, under oath, law, reason, scrutiny. Science battled storytelling as lab results entered the record. Some swabs were negative, others confirmed gasoline nearby. The investigator stressed thresholds, evaporation, and scent transfer. Absence of detection wasn't absence of danger, he warned, only a limit of measurement under real-world fire investigation conditions: time, heat, movement, chaos, stress, reality. Defense pressed again, highlighting what was not found inside the living quarters. The investigator finally conceded the narrow point. No evidence gasoline entered those rooms. That admission landed heavily, a small win that still left massive risk unanswered about intent, preparation, proximity, danger, timing, actions, consequences, responsibility, judgment, law, stakes. As testimony ended, the witness was excused under the rule, barred from discussion. The judge recessed the jury with careful instructions: no deliberation, no discussion, no investigation. Outside, rain fell, mirroring the heavy, unresolved mood inside the courtroom, where lives, property, safety, and intent now rested with jurors, law, truth. This case ends without flames, but not without impact. The outcome will hinge on intent versus action, science versus fear. A house nearly burned, a line nearly crossed, and a jury must decide whether preparation alone deserves punishment under the law after hearing every word, challenge, objection, silence, pause, breath.